Of the many global crazes that have come and gone, disco, baseball, geocaching, none remains as beloved and ever-present as the universal pastime of punching and kicking people until they become dead. This was especially true in the 80s, when movies like The Karate Kid inspired a wave of martial arts fervor in America's youth. In the midst of said fervor, game developer Yoshihisa Kishimoto came up with a new idea that would light up the arcades. That idea was Double Dragon, the title a nod to another film star, Bruce Lee. It was a spiritual successor to his first game, Renegade. In Double Dragon, players assumed the identities of twin brothers Billy and Jimmy Lee as they take on hordes of enemies roaming the streets of New York. The game's biggest innovation over its predecessors was the addition of co-op play. Now, two players could team up as the brothers and fight together. This spirit of camaraderie and intense karate action made the game a massive hit. With its scrolling screens and a variety of weapons to use, it essentially created the beat-em-up genre as we know it today. Although waves of imitators would follow, few were able to earn the same level of prestige as Double Dragon, which would receive sequels and ports until 1996, when parent company Technos went bankrupt and shut down. Technos may be gone, but we're still here, and we're still looking for something to punch and kick until it becomes dead. Today, we team up to beat the bad guys and save the girl in Double Dragon. It's a video game podcast.
Wow.
And there's so much to discuss. One of us knows all about them.
That's you.
And the other one's a dunce.
That's me.
You're gonna learn about the very best games with two annoying dorks.
Fatality.
From asteroids to Zelda, from adventure to Zork. We have no life, and we feel no shame. We need your help, 'cause we're bad with games. Bad with games. It's showtime! My name is Jonathan.
My name is Will.
And we are Bad with Games.
And this is a kind of a special episode. I think they all are in a way. But one thing that makes this one particularly special is something you may have noticed about this podcast is that there are two of us. Right. You might even say there's kind of a double host thing going on here. And today, the game that we're talking about is Double Dragon. So, it's kind of a long-awaited episode, right? Right.
Okay, are you finished?
Yeah, I think so. Thanks for listening, everyone.
So many great things are doubles, right? Double Dragon, double penetration.
Okay. That's not...
I was just starting on my list.
I thought maybe you were going to go for some kind of, like, burger or something.
Double vision. Double time. Double trouble.
It's the statement of the great mint with double mint gum.
Now we're talking. Yeah, baby. This week we're discussing Double Dragon, originally released in the arcades in 1987. We also dipped in to the Nintendo Entertainment System port, which came out the year thereafter. And we're going to be discussing both for you today. Bam, pow, right in your face. Bing, bang, boom. It's fighting time, baby.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the game, because you also fight in that one, too.
Of course, before we get started, we're so excited because we're now fully into the our Patreon launched. Patreon.com/badwithgames.
Oh yeah, I'm so hyped.
We're having so much fun over there. If you haven't joined already, you're a fucking idiot. Because
goddamn loser.
First of all,
Yeah.
if you support us at the gamer level, you're gonna get the Discord and you're gonna get bonus videos earlier than everyone else. For example, this week we played Double Dragon together. and we recorded it for your entertainment. And if you're on the Patreon, you're going to get to see that right now. And if you're not, you got to wait like an idiot.
Yeah, all those other fucking losers, they're sitting out there like, well, I listened to the episode, but I want to see them play Double Dragon together. They have to fucking wait. There's going to be days, and they're just going to be sitting there.
Yeah.
Who knows what they're even doing? Probably some unsavory thing. You, on the other hand, get to go watch it. Like, I don't know if it's immediate. I don't know how soon after we put it out, but you're going to get to watch it sooner. Now.
I'm going to say now.
Holy shit.
And you might even want to watch that first because we did actually play that together. I mean, obviously, like we usually when we have bonus videos, they come after the fact. This one we did before today's podcast. We've already done it. So if you want the chronological experience, you might want to do that first.
Oh yeah, that's true. And normally this is also a little bit different because normally we would play the game separately, and this would be our first time talking about it or interacting about the game together, but not this time. Not this time, baby.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But don't forget, if you want to support us at the pro gamer level, we also have our bonus video game and other media podcast, an extra bonus episode every single week. So you definitely want to get on board, baby.
Even more. Holy shit. As if the early access and the Discord, where, by the way, we are posting up a storm, and if you aren't on there, you are missing out. You get another episode, an entire another episode. It's crazy over there.
No, hold on. You just said an entire another episode.
Yeah, is what that's right. That's how you say it.
Yeah, that's correct. I fucking hate that.
No, that's correct.
That is not correct. That sucks.
Yeah, it's right. It's right. Trust me on this.
Anyway, check it all out. Patreon.com/badwithgames. All right, and now on with the free show.
God, what a bunch of chumps.
Double Dragon, baby. Let's talk about it. The arcade version and the NES version. Now, the arcade version came first, of course. That's the original. And the arcade version is where the game was very successful everywhere it went. But I do think the arcade is more known for the beat-em-up genre, which is really what was pioneered here with Double Dragon. Technically not the first beat-em-up, but pretty much all the conventions of the genre that we know, as well as just the popularity of the genre, always began with this title. And I'm curious to hear from you, Will.
Me?
Double Dragons is one thing we can talk about, whether or not you've ever played a Double Dragon, but more broadly speaking, your history with the beat-em-up genre. And also this is, we've done arcade games in the past, but I think they all pretty much stopped at like 1980. This is our most modern arcade game so far. So maybe if you've ever experienced anything akin to this type of a game in real life before.
You mean like, did I ever start fighting thugs in the city?
Yeah, you can interpret it but either way.
Well, so, all right, I'm not going to say that I've never played a beat 'em up. I've definitely played beat 'em ups before. I don't know that I've ever particularly played this one. Have I ever played Double Dragon? I don't know. And there isn't really any beat 'em up that I can think of and be like, oh yeah, I played the hell out of that. It would more just be something like, oh, here's some random ass game that like my friend has, and they forced me to pick up a controller, and I pressed buttons on it, type of thing. I don't, I don't have like a storied history with this genre.
Yeah. That's fine. That's why we're here.
Mm-hmm. As far as arcades go, yeah. Or yeah, well, go ahead. Say your thing.
I was just going to say, if you had a storied history with most of these genres, there wouldn't be a show.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I don't know. Even my arcade knowledge is pretty low here. I'm sure I've seen these around or some shit, but I don't know that I've played one of these in an arcade.
Well, this is part of why, I'm looking forward to Double Dragon, because listeners of the show will know you're sort of an arcade hater.
Right. True.
And I thought maybe we'll see, but this game might be the beginning of expanding your horizons and showing you that there's more to the arcades than what you've seen so far.
Interesting.
Okay. That inspires a lot of confidence. Interesting.
You're gonna come in on every game and be like, "This is it. Finally, you love video games." You're just gonna keep pushing that one.
You already love video games. We already won that fight.
I don't know. I just don't know.
You like Final Fantasy even more than I do. You fucking love video games.
That's true.
I do enjoy a good beat 'em up game from time to time. I don't have much experience with Double Dragon. Very little. I think I have played either the arcade or the NES version in some capacity before, but not to any great extent. I like River City Ransom a lot. That's another big one that we'll probably get to at some point. I like a lot of the 90s arcade ones, like the Ninja Turtles and the Simpsons and stuff like that. It is an interesting genre, we'll talk about it more as we discuss the game in depth, but it certainly has its high points and its low points for me, and I should say its strengths and weaknesses. There's areas where I think it's great, and there's areas where it's not so great, and it's really, I think there's a time and a place for a beat 'em up. And
I'll be curious to hear your assessment of what the time and place is.
I bet you will. Before we get to it, you want to talk about the box art for the NES version of this game?
Yeah, and don't forget the arcade machine.
Oh, are we looking? Is there art on the arcade machine?
I mean, sort of, yeah.
What does it look like? I don't look at it.
Well, there's like a banner across the top. It's got like a control panel, you know?
Okay, yeah, I see. It looks like shit.
Yeah, I mean, the side of this machine does not have what you would call what is that? What do you call those? Chevrons or whatever? It's just boring.
I don't know.
The main like control panel on the screen kind of has some dragons, and then there's two very 80s, the main characters up at the top here. You can see that in kind of a wider, I don't know, whatever you'd call that, across the top here. But it's not very splashy as a machine, right? Like, I don't mind this particular picture of the two guys, but the fact that it's not along even like the sides of the machine, I guess at this point they kind of just expected it to be in a line of a billion other machines and not on its own. You know, this is not early on when everybody has one arcade.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of boring. Yeah, it looks like the original one on the sides just said Taito, and with like a stripe on it. Are you seeing like some it looks like there's different versions of it. Some of them actually do have art on the sides. But
Okay.
I think those are
that's
I
not
think
the
those
one
are
I'm seeing.
modern interpretations.
Yeah. No, it's kind of boring.
Yeah, I also do think the art of the two guys on top is bad. Like I do think that's just bad.
You are the art history guy, so you know about
Look at
art.
their faces. Like they're all weird scrunched shitty faces. Their muscles are fucking ridiculous. The proportions are insane.
I'm curious how you're gonna say. Okay, because I was gonna say, like, I don't necessarily know that you can't make these same claims about the NES thing here. Now, the thing about the weird scrunched faces, though, is that not true to the game?
I don't care if it's true to the game. It looks like shit.
It's all that's what the guys in the arcade look like. They got weird, scrunched up, scarred, fucked up faces. Like that's just what it looks like.
It looks way better with pixelated graphics than it does with somebody drawing something who I know is not limited by technology. They could just draw better.
Well, but they're trying.
It doesn't. It's not. It doesn't look like it's like well inked or anything. There's no. It just looks like somebody sketched this on a piece of paper and they scanned it in a shitty scanner and said, "Yeah, print that." I don't like it. Sucks. This looks bad. Why are you defending this? It looks bad.
I think it looks kind of cool.
And look, I can tell you this: the NES cover, it's also bad.
I mean, the NES cover also does not look good. I gotta tell you, because it doesn't even have that like kind of weird, like scarred, fucked up aesthetic. Like when I look at this NES cover and I see these guys on this, why are they so smooth? Like, I don't even mean that in like a
Shiny.
yeah, like they
Airbrush.
They look like plastic. Yeah, exactly. These are like Instagram filter guys. They're e-girls.
I don't like it. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the dragon either. Which I don't know. They took the thing really literally. Is this on the arcade cabinet too? Is there a dragon that's like a cat dog of dragons?
I think it was just two dragons, like one up each side of the like control panel and screen.
Yeah. Here it's a dragon with each end is a head, which looks weird, and I don't like their heads. They look like little demons. Look like little gargoyles.
Yeah, not a fan.
Down below, there's a bunch of people fighting, and their faces also look stupid.
Jesus, that one guy doesn't even look like a face. Like the shading on the side of his face, it's like his face got cut in half or something.
You're saying that one guy, and that could be any of these guys.
Okay, the guy like right at the bottom, right? Like the bottom most forefront guy who's getting beat up, right? Like look at the shading on the side of his face. It's like some Picasso shit. Like I don't understand the geometry. Okay, that makes sense.
The double dragon on the right in the foreground has dynamite in his shirt pocket, which I do like. Just walking around, you always got to have some dynamite as a backup.
I don't know that I like how it's done though, because it's literally the same shade as his red vest, so it's like not easy to see that he has it.
Yeah, well, that's an Easter egg.
Okay. Have you seen the brow ridge on the guy on the left here though? Like literally it's about an inch coming out of his face.
Yeah, he's got kind of a Frankenstein thing going on. How about the font of this? I mean, so the whole game, the title, everything, definitely inspired by Bruce Lee movies, that kind of thing. And so obviously any American, this isn't American, but it's set in America. And anything that with martial arts and all that, there's going to be some potential of cultural appropriation of some kind. And I mean, this is made by a Japanese company, but I still look at this font and go,
ooh. I'm gonna tell you right now, some of the most racist depictions of Japanese people I have ever seen, like post World War II propaganda, were made by other Japanese people. Like they're just very racist over there. I don't know what to tell you.
But they have nothing but respect for Italians.
Right. Yes, that's right. That's honestly about as respectful as it's possible to portray an Italian.
Hey, come on. Come on. But anyway, it is the whole thing altogether does have a very cliche kind of, 80s martial arts vibe to it, which is exactly what this game is.
Yes, yeah. 100%.
So it is advertising what you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce Lee movie isn't even right. It's closer to like a Chuck Norris type thing, right?
Well, hey, like Chuck Norris was in Bruce Lee movies.
That's okay, that's true. But yeah, it's a lot more the like, ripped jean jacket, white guy with a bandana type thing.
Yeah. Well, this was the Karate Kid era, of course. It was, it was hot. Did you ever take karate when you were a kid?
I never did, no.
Huh. I did.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
I got a yellow belt, and then I said, "Nah, that's enough." Stop doing it.
That's called discipline.
I realized I actually just sort of believe in more of a nonviolent life.
Right, yeah. It had nothing to do with preferring to sit on your ass and watch TV.
Shut the fuck up. I'm
What
gonna
did you?
fucking double
I said
dragon
it
your
didn't.
ass. Oh, I misheard you.
Okay.
So Double Dragon, we've played it both versions. Now together we played through the entire arcade game from start to finish.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, the NES version does not have 2-player co-op. Other than it has a mode where you switch back and forth, but you don't play at the same time.
Yeah, so weird to adapt Double Dragon and not have a double mode in it, especially since there is a mode that says 2-player. So then you just expect that's not what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Well, there's many differences that we'll get into there. But I don't know about you, I did play through the arcade game one more time to see what it felt like by myself. It takes literally 30 minutes, so it's not much of a commitment. And I also, assuming you have the quarters, of course, which of course I always have a stack of them.
Mhm.
And I spent a good couple hours with the NES version by
Oh,
myself as well.
okay. I did not spend a good couple hours on the NES version. No way.
Oh, really?
No, no. So I did go back and I beat the arcade by myself, and I put in a couple of attempts, probably like the same amount, maybe like a half hour on the NES, and I was just like, this is not Double Dragon as I imagine it in my head or as I think of it. But now I've done a little bit more, so it's fine.
This is very
Didn't feel the
interesting.
need to try to beat it.
I'm very curious. It sounds like we may have different takes on these two games and their relationships with each other and ourselves. I didn't beat it either. I did not beat the NES version. I hit a point where I started to to be honest with you, we started playing late in the week, and I wish if I had more time. Now I feel
But
like you. For once, I'm like
you
you.
already put several hours into the NES version.
I
Honestly,
said a
like
couple. That's not several.
it's multiple. It's more than one. And
I mean,
then
maybe I'm exaggerating. It might have been like 90 minutes.
okay, because when you add that into the arcade and all that stuff, listen, for me personally, unless I'm fucking loving this game, there's only so many hours I'm putting in per week before I'm
Well,
I'm
look,
just like done.
some of us are more dedicated to this than others.
Right.
Not going to name names. I'm just telling
Hey.
you, if I had had more time, I'm just letting the listeners know personally, I would have kept going, and I think tried to see the end of the NES version, but I just hit a wall, and we had to get going.
Well, that's an excuse they love to hear.
Right. Well, it's unusual for me because normally I'm really on top of things, unlike you.
I think I'm on top of what I need to be on top of.
Yeah. This dick.
That's pretty funny.
I don't know.
All right. Do we want to talk about this game, Double Dragon?
Well, let's
What it's
start
like
with
to
the
play
arcade
it?
game because that
Yeah.
is the original.
Yeah.
That's the true OG default experience here.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone doesn't know, and Double Dragon you play as either Billy Lee or Jimmy Lee, they're twins. Although they don't look, I guess they're not identical twins.
No.
They're fraternal twins.
Is that still the case in the arcade? So the NES one has a whole manual, and by a whole manual, I mean it's very short and it doesn't tell you anything about playing the game really, but it does give you a cast of characters. So this is where I see Billy Lee and Jimmy Lee. Is that true for the arcade that that's what they're supposed to be called, or did they just make that up when they did the NES thing?
So kind of both.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a lot of the actual story of the game came more in the NES version and then later sequels to Double Dragon, but I think it just kind of retroactively became the canon of it. There are, however, many like changes, even post NES between the different versions. I mean, for instance, in the NES version, one of the brothers, who is it? Jimmy, Billy? It's one of the two.
I don't know which one is
Jimmy.
which.
In the NES version, Jimmy is the secret bad guy. Because you couldn't play as two players at once, so they just made, in order to like incorporate him, they made him the enemy. Whereas in the original one, that's not technically the case. You fight different guys,
right?
So, but they're like, oh, here. So, you know, look, I don't think there's much of a canon going on that anyone cared about in these games.
Yeah.
I was just, anyway, the premise of the game, you play as the two brothers.
Yeah.
I think that's still consistent. I think I can say that.
Yeah.
And they kidnapped your girlfriend. Again, in some versions, she's one of their longtime girlfriends. In some versions, she's like a member of the school. Just, there's differences. Just let me get through it. Fuck.
Okay. I'm waiting.
And you go through waves of enemies. If you've never played a beat 'em up before, I don't know what to tell you. You scroll on the screen, you punch, you kick. Now, in the arcade version, which is where we're going to start, you have 3 control options. You can jump, you can punch, and you can kick. And then there's a few different combos if you kind of press them at the same time and things like that. That's about it.
Yes.
There's, 4 main areas to go through?
That's probably
like
right. That sounds right. There's like a city. I think there might be 2 city sections or something. And then there's a forest, and then you're in the bad guy's base.
That's right. And there's also, of course, weapons you can pick up. Bats, knives.
Right. Yes.
Whips.
Again, coming back to the story, I am interested in you saying it is your girlfriend or it is a school person, because as far as like if I had been asked to summarize this game, what I would say is a lady gets kidnapped and you have to go beat up the bad guys and find their base and rescue her so that she'll smooch ya. That's what I would summarize the plot of the game as.
Sure. I mean, yes.
So I don't know where the other part is coming from.
This is just coming, again, this is coming from lore that was established after the fact.
Okay, like where, though? I am legitimately interested in where.
Well, like, the manual of the NES version.
It is? I don't even remember that.
By now, Billy is faced with his greatest challenge. His girlfriend, Marion, has been kidnapped by the Black Warriors. There's literally a 2-paragraph story in here.
Oh, I missed it because it's in between the table of contents and controlling the action, and it's like a tiny little, there's nothing here. Yeah, okay, I see. Marion.
Yeah, like, what are you accusing me of making this up? It's fucking real.
I'm not. I legit wanted to know where the hell it came from because I didn't remember it being here.
How dare you question me? I'm the fucking teacher here. Listen to me.
So,
I don't want to hear this shit.
That's not how teaching works.
Yes,
you need to be when you have a naturally curious student who's asking you questions, you need to, if you aren't happy to respond to that, then you're a shit teacher.
F.
I'm gonna report you to the fucking dean.
Guess what? I am the dean, bitch.
I feel like this is not conducive to learning this environment. I'm going to go join a new podcast with somebody who appreciates me.
We already have your tuition. No refunds. Get the fuck out of here.
Good luck running a podcast without the person who's bad at the games. You'll have to change the name to Good with Games.
What's happening? This is a Double Dragon episode. We're supposed to be teaming up together and fighting together. Why are you trying to start shit with me?
Well,
you're being very hostile today.
You fight each other.
Sure, but that's just a bit of fun.
Right, yeah.
So, the thing about the beat 'em up genre, which I find to be true nearly universally if you have ever played one of these types of beat 'em up games on a home version versus in an actual arcade, where when you're at home, of course, there's no quarters to insert or tokens or what have you. So there's usually just some kind of a button to add more credits, and I find that typically really puts on display just how sparse these games are in terms of content
Hmm.
and depth, in that they are mostly designed to eat quarters, and the enemies get harder and harder, and they kill you faster and faster, and then you have to pay more if you want to keep playing.
Hmm.
And if you can just not pay and you can just keep playing and you don't have to worry about dying, you start to realize, oh, there's a kind of nothing here, really.
Hmm.
Which isn't to say there isn't fun to be had, but I do think that is something about this genre that troubles me. That now, in the years since the arcades, there's many more home beat 'em ups that were designed to be played at home, that add or change things to make it so there's reasons to, you'll die and move to a different level. Things will happen. It's not just play through this one thing over and over again and you win. They've made them more interesting since then. But anyone that really lived in the arcades, I find that to be the case.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean
Agree?
that is definitely the sense you get playing the first one. Although the yeah, I mean effectively you are paying for the experience of being a big muscle guy getting into fights, right? Like you're not it is less of like a game that you are trying to play. I guess there is some level of skill to it. I'm definitely not good at this game. I'm definitely worse at this game than you. And there is something to be said for things like having some sense of awareness of how far away from the enemy you need to be when you press the punch button. Because it's like that's a thing that happened to me all the time, especially when I was playing on my own and it was more coherent. It wasn't just like I lose track of who's who and the screen is just chaos. Is that all the time? It'd be like, oh, I threw a punch and it just didn't land, and then the enemy threw a punch from what seemed to be the same distance and it did land, and I'm like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Fuck this. Um, and I'm pretty sure the distance is just the difference is that like just a couple pixels off, and I can't fucking tell. Um, but, yeah, it is for the most part. That, like you said, though, there is something to it, which is the experience of being a big muscly guy beating people up, right? There is something kind of fun about the idea that's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna beat these guys up. Here they come. Look at this guy. He's got a knife. Oh my God, look at that guy's face. Ah, it's a big guy. I'm gonna punch him. Right?
Hey,
Like that's kind
don't
of
don't give
fun.
away the whole video of when we played it. They got
Right.
they got to go watch that.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. They got to watch that. But yes, you're effectively putting in quarters to continue having that experience.
Yeah, there is certainly an innate amount of fun. There is satisfaction to be had in the simple punch, kick, boom, guy goes down, that feels good. Pick up a weapon. Oh, now I'm hitting him with a bat. Feels even
Hmm.
better. This is
Hmm.
great. Look at him go. Okay, now I'm moving on. That's awesome. There's certainly the foundation of it is pretty solid. I found the difference in when we played together versus playing alone was a stark difference.
Yes, same. Yes, absolutely.
Which I think is again true of many of these games. They're I had a lot of fun when we were playing together, but also, like you said, it's a lot of chaos on screen. And once I played it by myself, I was like, "Is this what it was like when I played it? When we played it together? Was I just not realizing the enemies seem more annoying? They seem more punishing. It feels harder for me to get hits in, harder for me to avoid them. And I suppose maybe that's just because when there's two of you, you can help each other out and
Yeah.
get a better beat on the enemies before they can get you. But yeah, I would never choose to play this game by myself ever, ever, ever again. I don't think there's hardly any
Yeah.
value in it at all.
Yeah, yeah, I think I would agree with that. Like, is it like it's kind of fun to be a guy beating people up, but it's not. It's very repetitive and it's not interesting enough. If you don't have the shared experience of doing that, like two guys beating people up, way more fun, Right. Especially when it's your actual, I don't want to say friend,
Mm,
but somebody you know,
co-host.
yeah, beating people up with you. Um, yes, as you said, I think there is a huge difference in the difficulty just because, like, it's like, oh, that guy is fucking trying to hit me with the bat, but he's trying to hit me, so you can just hit him from behind, right?
Yeah.
Type of thing. Like that is a huge difference. Um, especially when you get to some of the guys, the fucking Riddler guys or whatever, who I think those guys are just better at fighting. Those guys dodge more of your hits, they like counter more of your stuff. Um, and they just can't react to two people. So it just kind of doesn't matter. You're just kind of hitting stuff still as opposed to trying to strategize.
Now, I didn't go back and look. I assumed when you're playing with only one person, there's fewer enemies on the screen, but maybe that's not even true. Did you notice
Uh,
that or feel that?
I am not certain. It's not clear to me. I don't remember.
There's no way to know.
It's not
Also,
by a lot. Like, I don't think you get double enemies with double dragons.
right, yeah. I don't think that, yeah, no, I don't think so either. Maybe there's like one or
Yeah,
two
maybe.
additional guys. I don't know. We also were experiencing a fair amount of slowdown, which I thought might have been internet connection stuff, but I also experienced a lot of slowdown playing by myself. So I don't know if that is something about the hardware I'm using or if that is inherent to the original arcade game, but that
Hmm.
also made it for a less pleasant experience.
Yes, yeah. I had less of that playing on my own, but I was still there.
Yeah, I just found it very difficult to. You just get ganged up on so much,
Hmm.
and I would try to pick up a weapon, and then immediately someone just
Yeah.
hits me. And I do think the first level or so is much more fair, and then it feels like there's a point where the game goes, "Oh, we can't let him get by any easier without paying. Turn it up,
Right, right, right.
lay
Yeah,
into him."
I mean, especially with only one player later on, there were a lot of sections where when there were two of us, it was just, it's like punching and kicking. But with one guy, it's like there's three guys on you. They're just hitting you. You might go 10 seconds without being able to take an action because they're just pushing you around. Now, this, to be fair, I don't know that you know, as far as this is designed to be a game and not designed to just eat quarters, I do think this is Double Dragon. You're supposed to have two people. The point is to have two people. I don't necessarily think that it's a huge flaw of the game that you get fucked up if you go in with only one person. Like, it's not necessarily bad to say that, to be all like, okay, yeah, the beginning is easy enough that you can do it with one. When you get to the later sections, you gotta get a second guy. They're gonna fuck you up. You can't go in there with only one guy. It's Double Dragon. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
I think that's fair. I do think it is interesting that I feel that remains true for virtually every other beat 'em up I've played too.
Hmm.
I think 95% of them are always better with more people.
Yeah,
They're,
I don't think I've ever played a beat 'em up by myself, so I
yeah, I
couldn't
mean, I,
speak
I
to
mean,
that.
I mean, I would like the Scott, more modern versions. There's like the Scott Pilgrim game and the latest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which I have done single player for, and it's fun, and I have fun doing it, but it's not the same.
I think I did play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles beat 'em up with a friend once. I remember there was some level where you like hop around going my toes, because you like, I don't know, burn your feet or step on something.
Yeah, that sounds
That
right. I
sounds like
never,
that's from one of them.
I never made you play Scott Pilgrim. We never did that.
No, you never made me do that.
Oh, that was definitely back in the era, you know.
The the era,
Yeah, the
where
era.
people cared about Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, and where I knew you and might have made you play that like in my college dorm.
I don't think you ever made me play any video games until after college.
Yeah, wild. Anyway, where was I going with this? What were we talking about?
I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
playing them by yourself, it sucks. It's not that good. What a beat 'em up is to me, I don't know if this is a term in general, but I know in the board game world, people will sometimes refer to certain board games as beer and pretzel games, just meaning that it's not the kind of thing you really are thinking about too deeply. It's you want to have a beer and some pretzels and you're kicking back and having a few laughs with your buds. And to me, that's the ultimate use case for beat 'em up games is
Mhm.
we kind of want to like do something together. We're here, there's a couch and a TV, but we don't really want to get into something real deep. Maybe we just want to like chit chat. A beat 'em up game is like something to do while you're hanging out.
Mhm.
I
I
think that's the best.
I can imagine that in an actual arcade, because it's not like we
Mm,
physically were in person, right? We played this together, but we weren't in the same room. I can imagine that the experience of playing this at a cabinet right next to the other guy is a lot better, like for that exact reason. And that there's something to the physical presence with this game that would improve it.
yeah, that is absolutely true. Being literally shoulder to shoulder
Hmm.
and just feeling like you're in this together, it feels like more of an exciting adventure to get through it with another person. And even again, this is something that we've said before, and kind of in some way have to say for every arcade game. I feel
Hmm.
that just the physical nature of the big joystick with the buttons that are you're hitting them like with your hand, like your whole hand, and not just your thumb on
Hmm.
a control pad. Like you're really, it feels there's more going on there. It feels
Yeah.
actually more physical, and you're
Yeah.
really hitting that thing.
Yeah, and to me it does feel like the space matters, right? Like that's true and all, but I don't even know how different it would be if I just had a cabinet in my room and I was hitting those buttons with that instead of using a controller, as opposed to like I have to go out to a different location, right? And then like maybe there's a guy using it and I have to wait in line, and then I get there while he watches, and then we like have a conversation about it. I watch him play, right? Like there's something totally different to the experience when it's like that.
Yeah, that is the magic of the arcade that does not exist anymore.
Yeah.
Of where you would go and think, oh, that guy's really good at Double Dragon. That's the team that can go beat it with only two quarters or something.
Right. Yeah, that's how you know
And you
you're
watch
good, is how
them.
little you have to spend to play.
That's right. That was apparently one of the reasons to make the game two player was simply that they thought, oh, we'll make more money. Two people at once, twice the money.
Mhm.
Which, yeah, I think that's true. And that's another thing too, where if you're by yourself playing a game and you die, you might go, I guess I died. I can do something else. But if the other person's still alive, then you feel like I can't let them down. I got to put another
Right.
quarter in because we're a team.
Right, right. Plus that's twice as many quarters.
Twice as many
Like
quarters.
even if you didn't continue, you got two people putting quarters in for one
Yeah,
game.
pretty good deal. Pretty smart thinking on their part, eh?
Mhm.
Now, another big thing with a beat 'em up is, and this is something we'll talk about too when we get to fighting games because there's a lot of overlap there. But the button mashing or sticking to sort
Mhm.
of one technique versus playing around with different combos. I don't know that. Again, speaking strictly right now about the arcade version, uh, I don't. I don't even remember what it was like when we played co-op because we did look at the what's printed on the front where it does say
Mhm.
some of the combos you can do. And when I replayed it myself a few days later, I didn't remember any of those and I didn't look at them again. So I kind of just went back to punching and kicking.
Basically what happened with me. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up fighting games, because playing this feels very similar to how I play fighting games, which is probably going to end up pissing off a lot of fighting game heads uh, later on in our podcast here. Because yeah, he said there are technically combos I can do, but a lot of it was just like, okay, I need to sort of get a sense of like how long does it take to kick and how far does that go? How long does it take to punch? Do I kick this guy or punch this guy? He seems to be dodging these ones, but maybe if I do this, oh god, I'm fucking it up. Right? Like It's like either I'm just spamming buttons randomly, and that sort of works, especially in co-op, or I'm like struggling to use the like single input to do the most basic thing. I suspect that in a fighting game, it's pretty similar to that, except in this one, when you say combo, what you mean is you can do one other move and not like you have access to like 50 different moves and you have to pay attention to these things and you can chain them and you're trying to do that and blah. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
None of that complexity. But I am not capable of unlocking that complexity. So,
Yeah, when I say combo, what I mean is two buttons at the same time.
right. Yes.
It's not.
They fucking on the NES they turned jump into a combo because there was only two buttons, so they were all like, "How
Right.
do you jump?" Well, you have to punch and kick at the same time to jump because there's no fucking.
Right.
I actually had that problem when I went back to the NES. I kept.
We're not on the NES yet, actually. We're
I
still talking
know,
about the
but
arcade.
I kept trying to use three buttons and fucking up.
That's what I think I had it in reverse because
Mm.
I played the NES version before going back to the arcade version. And I kept trying to jump by pressing the two buttons together.
Mm.
I was like, huh? This is
Yeah,
weird.
so you were doing the spinning back kick or whatever.
I don't think I was.
Oh,
I still failed to do whatever
okay.
I was supposed to do.
Maybe that's a different combo. I don't know.
But that's another thing of these games where I often do feel like if there's not really, unless you care about a score, unless you want to get a bunch of points, and I assume doing flashier moves is worth more points. I don't even know if that's true. I didn't look into this. Sorry, listeners.
I tried to look at my score when I played through again, and you definitely do get points every time you hit them. So you might get more point. Like it's not for every guy you kill. I mean, maybe you
Right.
get points for that too, but you might get more for flashier moves, but it's hard to tell. Also, I know why we got such a bad score, which is that my score reset every time I died and had to put in a new quarter. That's
Mm.
definitely why our score was not that good.
So you probably need to really get on the leaderboard, do it in one life or something.
I
I
don't
don't know.
think you have to, because like I was looking at it and it's just like, yeah, you get bonuses of like 3,000, 8,000 points for single levels, and the leaderboard was 20K. Yeah, you have to do it in one life, but you could probably get on the leaderboard for getting halfway if you didn't die.
Got it. Well, but anyway, so talking about the types of moves you can do, I do feel like for me personally, I don't know, I'm conflicted about. I often will default to just I don't feel like learning these moves I can
Mm,
do. It's because you know what also works if I just punch them and then
mm,
they still die the same way. But then I start to get in my head, and this applies to many kinds of action games that I've played over the years where you unlock new moves and combos. Very common for me where I'll start to go, I'll almost feel guilty. Like I'm not taking advantage of the systems. I'm being lazy. I should try
mm.
to learn some of these combos. And most of the time, I just don't have it in me, and I'm just like, I'll just hit the two or three I know, and it kind of
Yeah.
works. But then I'm like, but now it's boring though. Doesn't that suck?
Yeah,
Maybe I
but
shouldn't
that's
even play these games.
I don't think that that's your fault. I do think that there is potentially a way to do this. Like you need i- this is a natural tendency. This is not like a you problem. This is a thing that I think everybody is going to doing this. Like some people will learn the flashy combos, but I think the majority of people have this exact problem, at least from what I hear. Maybe it's just, it's not like it's not like I'm a gamer, so I'm hearing this from my friends. This might be a my friends exclusive problem, but I don't think it is. Um, yeah, like to do this, you really do kind of need like a tutorial, right? Effectively, like, okay, um, I don't want to give you. I need to give you some kind of a boss where you have to do these or else you can't beat it because that forces you to learn it. But also, it can't be like it's too difficult to do it with the regular ones because then you'll just get frustrated and quit. Like, you need some kind of boss where it's like low pressure, but you still have to do this in order to actually finish it or something like that. And there's games that do things like this. I'm sure there's ways to do it. Like, this is not what an arcade is doing because the arcade is just eating your quarters. But, you're complaining about modern beat 'em ups. There's no reason a modern beat 'em up can't do something like this. Um, I think I said something to this extent on our last podcast, but it's basically Brock in Pokemon, right? Like
It
up
always
it
comes back to Brock.
because Pokemon's the only game I know, right? But like up until this point, you're basically just spamming tackle. Like that's your move. I hit them, they hit me. I'm higher level and better. They're a stupid shitty rat, so we just do that and then I win. You get to Brock. He's not like really aggressively pressuring you, right? Like he's using this bide thing, so if I hit him, he'll hit me back. But if I don't hit him, he's not doing that much back. But on the other hand, you'll literally never beat him by just spamming tackle. So how do you beat him? Well, it doesn't really matter, right? You could use special moves. You could use super effective moves. You could use status. You could use anything. But you have to do something else. And you have time to figure that out because he's not pressuring you. And that's effectively, I think, what you need here, right? Like you have to do something else, but you've got time to figure it out.
Yeah, and we're talking about a game that has like 6 moves you can do total.
Right, yes.
The problem is far exacerbated once you get to stuff like I'm thinking of like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta,
Mm-hmm.
where at a certain point I just fall apart and I just don't really understand internally when should I be using this move versus that move versus the other move and why. And some of those later games I'm talking about, sometimes they will punish you if you use the same move too many times in a row. Like your score will be lower. They want you to switch it
Oh
up.
no, my score.
Well, certain like in Bayonetta,
Right,
you
yeah.
get like a grade at the end of certain sections, and you want it to be you want it to look good. You want to feel good about it.
Mm-hmm. Would you? So I have
Sometimes
seen
it
some
matters.
gameplay footage from these games. Would you call these beat 'em ups, or are these some like
I
what
think
are these? I actually don't know the name for these.
people I believe
Maybe I
refer to them
do.
more as character action games is the modern
Huh.
term, but I would say they are the modern evolution of beat 'em ups more
Okay.
than really beat 'em ups themselves. But
I'm
there's a
yeah.
lot of
I'm
overlap.
I am curious, and I guess we'll find out more. I'll find out more going forward about like as you said, the genre evolution because it does also feel like it could be like I could see it going either way. Is a beat 'em up like was the fighting game the original and then we get beat 'em ups or do fighting games spawn out of beat 'em ups and then they branch into, that other whatever you said character action. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
interested.
I was thinking about this because I don't really know the answer to that either.
Mhm.
I think beat 'em ups came first, but the thing is, there's also just so many games with people fighting each other that
Mhm.
I think it's a little hard to define which one exactly was the first fighting game versus the first beat 'em up.
Mhm.
But in terms of popularity, Street Fighter was pretty close around this time. So
Mhm.
I think
Okay.
maybe it was just something in the air.
You've got like a primordial soup here that coalesced into two different genres.
Yeah, the original Street Fighter for arcades came out the same year as Double Dragon.
I mean, sure,
So
but arcade time, right? Like, was it 2 months before? Because that's like,
right, right, yeah, for sure. But we can get into the weeds on this
we'll
another
get there.
time. But
I
yeah,
think
it is.
we're already in the weeds.
The issue of genre is a messy one and often not worth defining or exploring, in my opinion. But sometimes it can be a fun little detour.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that is fair enough. It is more interesting to map like influence. Genre is just like a guardrail on that. But I don't know
Yeah,
if what I said just made sense. It made
I
sense in my
loved it.
head.
It
Okay,
was cool. It
cool.
was really
Thanks.
cool. Anyway, that's the arcade version of which doesn't really. Oh, actually, we should talk about. I think one of the best things about it. You alluded to it earlier, but if you are playing 2 player in the final level, you do
Hmm.
fight each other. It becomes like a Street Fighter. It becomes a
Yeah.
fighting game,
Yes.
and that is, I think, the most fun thing about the arcade version of the game. That I think that's a great little twist.
Mhm.
It feels like a victory lap. You've done it. You've beat the game. Now just have a little bit of fun.
Yeah. Which one of you is gonna get the smooch?
Yes. Now, you want to talk about being problematic. The entire game, it's obviously there's a damsel in distress who has no agency. When you win, she kisses you.
Yeah.
The first thing you see in the game,
Literal first thing, a guy punches a woman, throws her over his shoulder, and we get a nice solid shot of her underwear.
yes, and then there's also one of the enemies you fight is a dominatrix.
Mhm. That I
I
mean,
mean,
that's fine. We still do that.
sure, but it's just yes, there is certainly a overall vibe of it was the 80s.
Oh yeah,
It's
it
just what it was.
sure was. It sure was.
Definitely some. I mean, look, I know they're brothers, but I
Mm.
feel like these guys want to fuck. Come on.
Mm.
Come on.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, I mean,
they're
I think
working out together. Their muscles are so big they're like complimenting each other on them.
Mm. Mm.
You know?
Mm.
They're like,
Is that
"Yo,
what karate was like for you?
yeah, we got to like I was like 10, okay?
Oh, okay.
Come on."
So it wasn't like that for you then, is what you're saying.
No, it was more or less like that.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
when I
I
was a
want to
jock,
fuck
I was
Marion
like
so
16,
bad,
so I'll
bro.
tell you right now.
No, any attempts by my parents to enroll me in athletics of any kind stopped by like the age of 11.
Mm.
They quickly realized, no, he's not doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, I only had my one athletic thing. I wasn't going to do any other stuff. It was just the one thing. But
No team sports for you.
yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, you're mad because there's no I in it.
Right, exactly. I'm too stubborn and selfish to work as part of a team.
There's also in the last area of the arcade version, you're in the enemy's base is like an ancient temple or something.
That's right. That's
And
right.
there's sort of Indiana Jones booby traps and
Yeah, what the fuck is you're in the city and some like, street punk 80s movie thugs kidnap a woman. Okay, sure. And then you have to follow them out into the forest and the vibes don't match at all. And then yeah, as you said, you're in a goddamn temple with like booby traps and statues poking you with spears and like shit coming out of the wall and it's like what who are these guys? What the fuck is this? Why did they kidnap her? What are they when you get to the final boss, she's just kind of like tied up. She's not like it's not like she's like over a pit. They just put her there. What is happening?
well, again, according to the lore,
Mm-hmm.
the bad guys want to learn the secrets of Billy and Jimmy's special martial arts technique.
Ah,
So they kidnap Marion to coerce them.
I see. Is it just so they can I guess I could read this 2-paragraph summary that I
Yeah, I
missed
don't
here.
that part I just said, I don't actually. Yeah, it is. I guess it's kind of in there, but it's a little vague. Anyway, I don't know. What are we talking about? It's
uh
ridiculous.
Yeah, final boss room though. I do really like that the final boss has a gun,
Yeah, that is pretty good.
and if he shoots you, you just die because it's a
Yeah.
gun. Like
I
that's
mean,
good.
it makes sense. You're punching, you're kicking. What's the final boss? A gun.
That's right.
The
Pretty good.
ultimate nemesis to hand-to-hand combat.
That's right.
Guns. Okay. So that's the arcade version. The NES version, which I think is good for us to discuss because this was a common thing in the 80s, was home ports of arcade
Mhm.
games. And often this was like a strange time in history compared to today because the technology, the graphics and sound were far more advanced in the arcade than what you could play at home,
Mhm.
which even by the 90s, that wasn't quite true anymore. And certainly by the mid 90s, that was no longer the case. But there was this weird period in time where you'd go, "Oh, Double Dragon, I love that game," and then you'd ask your parents to buy it for you and put it in and be like, "What the fuck? This doesn't look like fucking Double Dragon. What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
What happened?"
Yeah, well,
'Cause
that was
they,
back when like the power of a computer was like linearly related to its size, right? Like you know which one's the stronger system because it's bigger. You can just look at
right.
it.
I mean, yeah, it is crazy. I mean, arcade cabinet is a giant, heavy piece of junk.
Mhm.
There's a lot of stuff going on in there. So I don't know how often this is going to happen on the show. I mean, I know we played the Super NES and PC versions of SimCity, and was there any other? Oh yeah, we played the Game Boy and NES versions of Tetris, but that is sort of a different thing. This is
Mhm.
one of the few times I think we're going to play both the arcade version and its home port. Even though like later arcade games like Pac-Man had home ports, Donkey Kong has home ports, but in a lot of
Mhm.
those cases I feel like the home version is often just the same but a little uglier or a little worse. This is one of those cases where the home game I do think is significantly different enough, and it also was extremely successful and popular on its own, that I think
Mm.
it's worth looking at
Mm.
side by side. But apparently you didn't think
Yeah, I
that.
mean, I will say I like going into it. I mean, I didn't know that this was extremely successful, specifically the NES port. But yes, my
Well, I
my thought.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know. Don't interpret that as like. I
Okay.
don't know how you're interpreting that. It was
I don't know
it
how I'm
was
interpreting it.
extremely successful.
Sure,
I'm
sure,
not
sure,
gonna.
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my thought going into this was that like when I played the arcade version, my immediate thought was like, "Yep, this is how I pictured it in my head." Was something like this. When I played the NES, I was just like, "This feels like a totally different game and doesn't feel like what I pictured Double Dragon." Like if I had not played the arcade, if you'd said we're going to play the NES Double Dragon, I would have been like, "I'm surprised. This was nothing like I expected." And so, playing it, it did kind of feel like my thought process was more I feel like to understand Double Dragon and talk about it, I don't need to know this that well. Like I can do some comparisons side by side, but I don't need to work at finishing this.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, well, you have to. I should have forced you to play more of this. But you have to remember, at the time, a lot of kids would have been at home more and would have played this version, and people who grew up on video games. Many of them would know the arcade version very well, but many of them will know the
Mm.
NES version just as well or far better.
That's interesting because I don't think of and I guess this kind of comes back to my impression of it because I don't think of Double Dragon as a game that people are like, yeah, I remember playing it at home. Like I think of that, that's like Zelda as a kid. I think that's like Zelda or Mario. Double Dragon is like I think of this as like I remember playing it as like a young teenager or an old kid when I was allowed to go out to the arcade. Yeah, I just don't picture a kid at home playing this.
Yeah, according to the
Strange.
internet here, the NES version sold 100,000 copies in its first month.
Mhm.
And that year, that Christmas, there was demand for 1 million cartridges.
Wow.
And it went on to be one of the, just a
Mm.
real chart topper. There
Maybe
was
you
also
should
an
have
Atari
split them up if they're
2600
that different.
version. Well, the thing is, I mean,
Mhm.
to me, they're both so short, and the arcade version, I feel like
Mhm.
we've said it all. That's why I thought it made sense to combine them.
Yeah, fair enough.
There is still lots of overlap, don't get me wrong. The
Mhm.
big differences for anyone who's watching or listening,
Mhm.
obviously, graphically, the NES version is simpler. There
Yes.
are only ever, I believe, two enemies on screen at a time in the NES version, as opposed to there can be, three or
I
four or five maybe in the arcade.
That doesn't sound right. It might be right, but I swear there were 3. It's
It's
fewer for
maybe
sure.
three. It's certainly not more than three.
Yeah,
I
it's
can tell
not
you
more than
that.
3. Yeah. In what I played, there were never more than 3 for sure.
Um, the levels themselves are more or less recreations of the arcade version, but not one-to-one by any stretch. There are entirely new sections inserted in some areas. So it's like loosely inspired by and kind of follows the same trajectory
Hmm.
as the arcade version. It's certainly not its own thing from the ground up, but there's a lot of tweaks
Yeah.
and differences as you go.
It didn't feel like playing the levels like, this is an attempt to make any kind of one-to-one recreation. It was more just like, yeah, this is the city. It's got a lot of the same elements of the city, but in different places and a different layout and that type of thing to me.
But I do think there are definitely some areas where if you watch them side by side, you're like, oh, that is that exact
Mm,
area where there's the two ladders on each side of the building you
okay.
can climb up and go across, or there's like there's that bridge you can jump across a river. That like exact
Mm,
same bridge is pretty much around the same point in the NES game.
okay.
So
I
there's
felt like they were
certainly
different, but you might be right. I might just not fucking remember because.
I mean, they're different because they're,
Mm,
it's again, it's not one to one,
right.
but it feels like somebody played the arcade game and kind of like had it in the background and were like doing their best
Mhm.
to imitate it. It's a cover song. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean that I do think starting right off with like on a similar note, the graphics, um, them being simpler also does give them a much different vibe, right? Like it does not have that kind of 80s action movie vibe to me. Like you can tell that they've used that as an inspiration, but everything being simpler does make it cutesier, right? Like there aren't as many flashy colors. The fact that people's faces aren't all chiseled and fucked up and you get those extra lines, um like it doesn't quite, I don't know, it feels a little bit sillier and goofier when you
Wait a minute. The
I,
arcade version doesn't feel silly and goofy?
but in a different way, you know what I mean? Like
Okay.
if like when somebody pulls out a knife and hits you in the arcade, you go, oh my god, he has a fucking knife. Jesus Christ. Like it is silly and goofy, but like you can tell that it's supposed to be like, oh yeah, bloody, he got hit with a knife. Even though, it's silly. In the NES, it is kind of just like, oh no, enemy throwing projectile. It's more cutesy, right?
Yeah, I mean by default the graphics of the arcade are relatively speaking more
Right.
realistic.
Right. But that changes the feel of the game, I guess.
Yeah,
Is what I'm
that's
saying.
fair. Yeah, that makes sense. Now there is one other very big difference between the two versions, which I wonder. I'm guessing you didn't even lock into. I don't know if it's actually is it in. It has to be in the manual, right? I don't think it is because I didn't realize it. I had to look up what it meant.
Mm.
At least in the manual we have. Oh no, there it is there. But I didn't think it was. It's very brief. They don't really tell you what it means. But you have so in the arcade game, like we said, you have the three
Yeah.
buttons, jump, kick, punch, and you can do combos, and that's it. It's all open to you from the beginning. In the NES version, you actually have an experience system. So every time you punch or kick or whatever, fight somebody, you get some points. And when you reach 1,000 points, it resets and you get a heart. And for each heart you have underneath the screen, you get access to more moves. So, for instance, when you start, you cannot do a jump kick in the NES
Mm.
version. I think it's the third heart you unlock the jump kick. Um,
Interesting. So I did notice that I was getting hearts, but I was like, I do not know what these mean because they don't appear to be more life points and they don't appear to be extra lives. So I don't really know what that means. This does feel a little odd that you've taken such a, like, we spent all this time talking about how there's so little to this system and it's so bare bones. It's like, okay, you get 6 moves instead of 2. The idea like, oh, we should lock that behind an experience system is weird to me.
I think in practice, I like it a lot
Hmm.
personally. Um, I kind of at first discovered it by not understanding why I discovered it when I got to a level and enemies were doing jump kicks, and then I was like, oh, thought I tried to do a jump kick. Oh, I guess I just didn't do it. I learned it from
Yeah.
them, and then when I replayed it again, I was like, well, now I'm going to be jump kicking all over the place, and I was like, wait, it doesn't work. That's when I looked
Hmm.
it up and realized what was happening. Um, to me, so I mean, I'll just give you my overall assessment here. I actually think the NES version is far better than the arcade version.
Really interesting.
I think what the arcade version has over the NES version is the superficial stuff. Graphics and sound, there's no question, it's better. And the fact that you can play co-op. That's the thing. But then I'm like, well, am I really enjoying the game? No. I'm just enjoying hanging out with someone. It doesn't matter what's on screen. I'm just having fun because someone else is there. Take that away, the game is not that fun to me. Uh, the NES version, I think I think that combat system being deeper is what makes it more interesting.
Is the combat
Unlock
system deeper? Like, does it actually have more moves, or is it just the same shit, but you have to unlock it?
Well, the I guess the system of progression is deeper. And the amount of actual moves you have is probably the same.
Hmm.
But
So because you can't do as much, it's better for you.
well, it forced me to learn them and understand them as I went, rather than just be overwhelmed at the start of like, I don't really know what I'm doing, punch, punch, whatever. Once I
You
looked up,
did?
oh, what are the yes. Once I looked up what are the differences, I was like, oh, now that I just have okay, I started out with 2 moves. Okay, simple. Okay,
Yeah.
now I have a third move. Now I'm going to try incorporating that because now I only have to think about the one move at a time in addition to what I already knew. That's basic. And it gives me more of a chance to like
Hmm.
master that and not be overwhelmed by multiple. The same thing is you start with one Pokemon and then you get 2. Does that help you? Does that make it readable for you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Um,
I guess it just feels like there's 6 fucking moves. You would just, if you wanted to use them, you would just start incorporating like one at a time because it's not like there's an overwhelming number. It's not like there's 50 of them, right?
okay,
There's like
well,
6.
Mr.
I mean,
fucking
I guess my
great at
point is that
games.
I
Go ahead.
well, my point is that I didn't, at no point did I ever feel like I had mastered punching and kicking enough to like really use them. I did use a couple of the jump kicks. I didn't even notice that I didn't have access to them at the beginning, even when I went back like and tried it again. I don't know. Yeah, it's I don't know. It doesn't I guess I see what you're saying.
I also just okay, fuck you first of all. I also just enjoy the feeling of progression. I mean, in
Mhm.
any game, I would rather like I would rather start without all my stuff and then get it as I go because then I feel like as I play, I'm learning new things and there's there's new things to discover as opposed to just if you play the first 2 minutes of the arcade Double Dragon, you've also played the last 2 minutes. Like
Mhm.
there's nothing changes. And here it's like, oh, I punched enough people, I was rewarded. I got something for it. That makes me feel like I've
Mm.
earned it. I'm enjoying my time and I'm not just mindlessly kicking forever. It feels more like there's an actual game here and not just punch punch kick kick forever the
It
same.
doesn't tell you you did that though. You have to like kind of know that.
Um in the game, I mean, yes, it tells you you get a heart. Here's the exact what it
Yeah,
says in the
but
manual. It does say at each additional level you'll earn more fighting techniques, and it tells you what score you need to
sure.
go up a level. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
like I said in the game it doesn't like there's not really an indicate. You get a heart, but that doesn't mean anything to me,
Yes, but
right?
again,
Like it
we're talking about the era, as you know, of the NES, where it was quite common for things like this to be locked away in manuals and wherever.
sure, but it's not like it does put a heart indicator. I guess what I'm saying is that a heart indicator would not be my choice of like how I would indicate like because when I look at that, my thought is not the fighting move. You know
Sure,
what
you
I
can
mean?
take issue
Like,
with the the aesthetics of it, but
well,
I'm
no,
just
but
saying the
but the
system
aesthetics are
itself
the
I
but
like.
the aesthetics are the communication, and I guess my point here, what I'm trying to get at is that like, um, I guess you like that you can do it because you go and try to do it because you saw that in the manual, but like it's not like something shows. It's very different. It feels fundamentally different. Like notice how many because it feels very different if something
Because,
pops up
because,
on
because,
screen and you
because,
say I've got
because.
this now. Like boom, hey, cool, I got a thing. Like if you get uh uh a heart piece in Zelda, there it is. You've got another heart, right? If you get or whatever, like you can see, like here you get a heart, but that doesn't mean anything to me. I almost wonder if it would have been better if there'd been like a little fighting guy at the bottom. You get 3 fighting guys, because then I would at least have some idea of what it is that I might have gotten, rather than just being like, I don't know, who cares? Doesn't mean anything to me. You know what I
I
mean?
think we're just arguing two different things. Like
Well,
I
no,
understand what you're saying.
yeah, but I don't think that we are. I think that it's I think that there is something very fundamentally different about uh okay, you've unlocked a thing, but you have to know it, and like here it is, noise, thing, a visual indicator. Yay, I've got it. Since clearly what's interesting to you is the getting, right? It's not the having of it, it's the getting of it.
I mean, it's both, but the getting of it is
Well,
what
it's
makes it
not, because you
meaningful.
didn't like it when you had it from the beginning.
Yes, but once if I have to have something in order to get it.
Sure. Well, no, but like just having it isn't interesting. It's the fact that you got it.
Yes, but once I
Yeah.
get it, I want to have it.
Sure. But my point is that like the I don't know. I feel like you're just ignoring the fact that like there is a fundamental difference between what you're saying, like I know I got it and that's good enough, and it told me I got it. Like that's different. That feels different. You know that feels different. You've argued about this before in terms of like the importance of like sound effects and little indicators and
Yeah,
blah
yeah.
blah blah.
I just think what you're saying, I don't disagree, and obviously in modern versions of this, they would not tell you what was happening. It's obviously limitations of the system and budget and time and who knows what else that they didn't that it was not so obvious that it was in the manual or whatever. I think that's very valid to say. Yeah, it would be better if it like explained it to you. But in my opinion, that doesn't make the system itself worse. It's a hurdle that you have to learn it. That's unfortunate. But I'm just talking about the experience that I had with the system itself. Once I did understand it, to me that is good. To me, that's two.
Yeah,
They're
I
related,
hear
but to me,
you.
it's two different
Yeah,
things.
I hear you. But again, like this is a system that they made to take away something that you already had. So it's very important that they communicate it to you, right? Otherwise, how is it adding
Yeah, I
anything to
mean,
your experience?
it's in the rule book. It's in the manual. They tell you. Read it. It says it. What do you want?
Literally, I wanted to do what any of these other games that I've already played on the same system have done. I don't buy limitations of the system.
See, this is why you didn't like Metroid. Is because you don't appreciate the feeling of getting something. That is what Metroidvanias are. Is you don't start with all your stuff. You got to go get it.
That was not why I didn't like Metroid. I was very clear it was the shaft.
But I'm just trying to.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm just telling you my experience.
Sure.
I enjoyed it a lot. For me, it didn't bother me that it was obfuscated. I'm not going to say it was better because it was obfuscated. I'm just telling you personally, I enjoyed that system more than if it were not there. I mean, playing these two games side to side, I found one much more satisfying for that reason.
I mean, I guess there are like two schools of design on all of these kinds of things, right? Where it's like the one is where you you say like, okay, early on I don't have it, and then I get more stuff that I can use, right? And that's what you're saying you like. And the other one would be that you start with all your stuff from the beginning, but as you go on, they give you harder and harder things, so you have to learn how to use it. Um,
Mm.
and so when you go back, and so when you go back to the beginning, and when you start again, rather than saying, okay, starting again, I have to start my progression over and it's hard, you'd say, well, starting again, now it's just easy, right? I've kind of conquered this game. Now, I'm not saying that the arcade version does that second version of it better. um, mostly because it's just not a very good game. But like, Yeah, I don't necessarily think that putting that system on top inherently fixes it, because the it could have been good by just giving you access to everything and making the game progression more interesting and clear. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is it's not having experienced it myself. It's not clear to me that just putting that system in fixes it, because the problem wasn't that the system was bad. The problem was that the game was bad.
I mean, I will also put forward that this is virtually what every video game does. Like non-competitive video game, like any single player progression game. Again, modern, like Scott Pilgrim as a modern beat 'em up example, you unlock moves as you play. Like that's just sort of the standard in most video games. I feel like in the modern era is as you progress, you unlock new moves. Like it's the minority of games that do this, and you just start with everything at your disposal immediately. So I don't
But
know. It's
that's just an argument for, but I liked this one better because it's the way I normally play games. Like, as somebody who is not who just
no, 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 no,
doesn't.
no, no, no. My argument is that obviously there's something to this system since every other game adopted it and not the first one.
I guess.
Like I think that I don't know, how are you arguing that there's not an inherent satisfaction in unlocking new things as you play?
I'm not. What I'm saying is, well, maybe I am. I guess what I'm saying is that the inherent satisfaction is from the overall structure of playing the game. It's not from the fact that you unlocked something. Like, that doesn't mean shit.
Well, I think that's just a different, maybe that's true for you, but it's not true for me.
Hmm.
And I think it's not true for many people who play video games. I mean,
Yeah, like,
I feel like that is part and
'cause,
parcel
like,
of so many video games is you beat a boss, you
well,
did
like,
whatever, you got a new
okay.
weapon, you got a new
Okay,
power, you got a
so
new
going back to Metroid, right? You get to turn into a ball now. You got the ball thing.
yeah.
I think that it's really cool, the things you can do with the ball, right? Like, now I can go through these tubes or something. That's pretty cool. But the fact that I just can turn into a ball, not very interesting unless I'm using it to do something new and cool. And
Disagree.
if I start the game over again, I'm kind of annoyed that I can't turn into a ball.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that's
I,
it. Like, I don't know. Like, fundamentally to me, that's it. Just the fact that I got the ball on its own isn't interesting.
hmm. Well, I just think it is because I'm like, oh, this
Hmm.
is cool. I'm a ball now. I can do different
Hmm.
things.
Well, doing the things is cool. I agree with
Well,
that.
yeah. I mean, it's tied together. It's like one thing to me.
Hmm.
I got a new move. I can hit people in a new way. Like I got the jump kick. Now I can jump from afar. Like that gives me something new to do. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but what if you just don't need it? I'm just punching and kicking them anyway, and it's fine.
I found that once I unlocked the jump kick, that's like all I used because it was much safer to attack from a distance. Whereas if you
Huh.
tried to get up in their face, they might hit you first and fuck you
I've
up.
I found that when I was jump kicking at enemies, some of them would duck to jump under the jump kick and then would attack you from
Yeah,
behind, so you couldn't jump kick at them. You had to punch and kick those guys.
that is sometimes true too. But
Yeah,
generally speaking, I
but that
still thought it
which
was
is
safer the
fine.
other way.
Right, like, that would be how I would prefer to do it, is you have a jump kick and then you'd be like, some enemies it's not very good against. You have to learn them.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's true.
Yeah. So, but unlocking it doesn't change that. It's the progression of where those enemies are would change your usage. I don't know.
It just seems like
It's
semantics to
fine.
me. I just think it's the same thing functionally.
Okay, then you don't care that then in that case, you don't care that you
This
unlocked
is the
anything.
craziest thing to argue against. I don't understand this.
It's just weird to me. It's just so weird to me to be like, I think that this is more interesting because we didn't add anything else for you to do, but we did take away the things that you could
Yes.
do, and that makes it more interesting. I don't know.
Would Final Fantasy have been better if you started with every spell unlocked, or is it better that as you play you have to unlock them and buy them?
I mean, if it depends on how it's designed to be played. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't like they didn't if they didn't change the rest of the game, no, it wouldn't be better necessarily. Actually, it might be. Some of the early stuff's kind of boring.
Good. I want you to double down on this. I don't, this seems like a weird thing. I don't know what it is about what I'm saying that feels wrong to you, that I enjoy unlocking things. That just seems like such a basic part of a video game.
Because you didn't, you didn't get like a little sparkly. I want the jangling keys in front of me. I like that.
I unlocked something. I got a heart. Now I can do a kick. It feels good. I don't know what you want.
A heart should be like a life or something. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so again, I think this is two different points. I'm fine with your take about it should have been a different icon, but I think that's ancillary to the core system. I know you don't think it is. Okay, you don't think it is. We're going in circles now.
We are absolutely going. We've been going in circles for like 20 minutes.
It's because I feel like you're arguing against the fundamental nature of what most video games are.
Well, maybe this is why you're a gamer and I'm not.
I need to hear listeners' takes on this because I feel like I'm going insane right now trying to talk about this. It's like levels. It's just what video games are. You gain levels, you get things. You learn new attacks. It's what Pokemon is too. I don't know.
Listen. I'm the only reason I'm not responding is because after we decided had been going in circles for 20 minutes, you then continued to argue in circles. If I respond, we're going to go for 40 minutes.
It's because I'm desperate to understand.
Yeah, well,
I'm trying to find an angle that will make sense.
I was trying that at the beginning, and now we're 20 minutes in. I think we need to drop it.
We had nothing else to talk about because the game's boring this week, okay? We needed some spice.
I mean, okay, let's get back on track for the NES game and
well, let me
differences.
Tell you
what
else,
what we were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, here's what, because that's not the only reason I think it's better than the arcade version.
Sure.
I do think the enemies do get progressively harder also and are more interesting. Whereas in the arcade version, maybe they get progressively harder, but to me, it just feels like the same bland way that you fight them all. That they all this kind of in the NES version, I found the enemies more distinct in both their sprites and how they acted, which maybe is partially because of the limitations. You know, you can't make them look like different people with the graphics, so instead, it's like this guy has purple hair, so it's really obvious it's a different guy. And that actually enhanced it for me. I was like, oh, it's these purple hair motherfuckers. I know what they're all about. Whereas again, in the arcade version, it just felt like a mishmash of random dudes everywhere all at once, and I didn't know what I was doing.
So I guess what I would say is, I did think that the enemies were more distinct in the arcade, at least the ones that I found to be relatively. I guess there was a little bit more distinction in the NES, but like, you know, there were the basic guys. I guess this is where the NES is different. There's like the knife guys versus the weird homeless guys or whatever. But those guys did fight differently, whereas they didn't on the arcade. But like the gigantic guys fought differently. The weird Riddler guys fought differently. And those were still different on the NES as well in similar ways. So like I did I don't know. Like, I guess the slight difference didn't matter as much to me. What I did find was that it felt a little bit simpler to fight them on the NES, and maybe that's just because there were fewer of them or there was less slowdown. But I'm almost wondering if that like was part of it, where it's just like it's a little bit easier to see what the hell is happening. So it's easier to see the distinctions between these different guys. I don't know, because it did still feel like they were kind of different on the arcade to me.
I think you may be very right. It's not something I noticed, but again, when you're playing the arcade game and there's so many guys on the screen, I don't have a chance, nor do I really care to understand their differences, because what I know is, well, if I just punch, eventually they'll die and I move on and put in another quarter and keep going. The NES version, because I think is better for having fewer enemies on screen at once, which shouldn't be the truth. You wouldn't think it would be the truth because it is a limitation that was forced upon them and not how they probably would have wanted it to be. But I found it more interesting I can actually feel like I'm fighting this guy as opposed to I'm just being piled on by every side, and I don't really feel like I'm doing anything. I'm just struggling to mash buttons to get out of this dog pile, and I don't know what's happening right now. And the fact that in the NES version, you only have 3 lives, which is pretty brutal, I will say, even though the game's pretty short, so I get it. They needed a reason for you to play this beyond an afternoon. But the fact I felt like when I died, this is why I said if I had more time, I would have gone back. I felt much more of a drive to go like, oh, but I'm getting better. Like the first time I played, I think I died at this first boss in this first level. Second time I played, oh, I got through, I beat him, I'm better at it. I felt more of a drive to get better and keep going. And I think part of it is because you can't just put in quarters. There is more of a punishment. There is a risk that you have to take sometimes for certain things you want to try to do. And maybe if in the arcade game I said like, well, I'm limiting myself to 4 retries, I guess you could do that. But it just felt like a big nothing.
Yeah, so everything that you're saying kind of comes down to what I originally would have argued about with this, rather than this whole progression thing we got sidetracked onto, which is that like I do hear what you're saying in terms of it. Playing the NES felt more like I was like I was not just button mashing. I was like trying to interact with the enemy on screen because it wasn't just a bunch of chaos. Because earlier on you said all that the Double Dragon has on the NES is like the enhanced graphics and like the co-op, right? And to me, my immediate thought was, yeah, because that's all that Double Dragon has to offer is this fun feeling of beating up guys with your friend. Look at the cool guys. Look at that nasty looking guy. Hey, it's me and my friend. And that has some fun to it. What the NES kind of adds is a little bit more gameplay, but to me, not enough to make it in any way particularly interesting, but it does strip out all that other stuff, which was the only thing that it had going for it. So to me, this just kind of feels like, did you know you could play it at home? Yeah, you could, but why would you do that? You know?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't like the gameplay, then yeah, that is what there is.
Yeah, like you're like I guess fundamentally I wasn't that interested. Like I did not feel that drive to get farther. It's like I can feel myself getting better in a way that I didn't necessarily in the arcade, but I don't really care to get farther. I don't feel driven to get farther. I'm not super interested in the like, oh, hey, there's one of those guys. That's kind of neat. Cool. I guess I'll figure him out. I don't know. Like it, it, it didn't give me this sense of accomplishment to like figure out like, oh, cool. If I have a whip, I can hit them at this range and just knock them over a couple times and then they're gone. Uh, Whereas it does give me at least some kind of a feeling to be like, holy shit, I'm getting my face kicked in. Oh my God, look at all these dudes. Oh shit. Right. That gives me a feeling, right? Not necessarily the feeling of playing a game, but a feeling. And that's something that's interesting as opposed to like, all right, sure. I don't know. I guess I'm playing it.
I am the exact opposite. I think that feeling is only true the first time we played Double Dragon together. The only thing I felt playing that again was numb. I think it is overstimulation at best. It's a whole bunch of fucking noise and it all cancels each other out and amounts to nothing. I was so bored. Like it's just mindless nothing. I didn't care about the graphics anymore. It was funny the first time. Oh, it's like the 80s. Haha, this is silly. Haha. 30 minutes of fun. Okay. Playing it again. 0 minutes of fun.
You're not like a 80s action movie guy or something.
A movie is one thing. In a movie, they could choreograph the action and make it interesting to watch. That doesn't happen. That does not happen in this game. I was much more engaged with the NES version. It was like, oh, this is what a game is and not just a simulator of colors and lights.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I will say neither of these were the sort of thing that I would want to put a ton of time into, right? Like, but like at least when the simulator of colors and lights flashes on for half an hour, I'm like, hee hee wee. And then when the game is there for half an hour, I'm like, should I play again? I guess I could. I'm supposed to.
But you felt that again the second time through? You were just as delighted?
I wasn't nearly as delighted, but I do think a large part of it did come down to not having somebody else doing it at the same time. I think that if I had had somebody else doing it at the same time, I would have been similarly delighted.
My opinion might be different if I played the NES version first, and then right before this we played co-op the arcade, and that was my last jolt of adrenaline I got, and I'd be like,
Hmm.
"Whoa, this is such a crazy upgrade! Wow, this is awesome!"
Hmm.
But it's like because I went back to it, I was like, "Oh, it's just a facade. I don't feel anything."
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
you are right. It's just a facade, but like
but it's you
that's.
like the facade.
I mean, yeah, it's fun, right?
Yeah.
If you strip away the facade and you get nothing, and that's what the NES is, right? At least the facade is colorful.
See, that's the difference between you and me.
I put like one little step that I could step up on the NES, and I'm like, isn't that interesting? Not really. I kind of liked it better when it was flashy because at least I could like look at all the flashiness.
I like the graphics in the NES. I think it's like colorful. It's not, like you were complaining about Metroid, everything being black. It does have a lot more detail in the backgrounds
Hmm.
with the buildings and the skyline and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel
for
that
the
like
time.
it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just as I say, it's a very different vibe to it than the arcade. If
Yeah.
I wasn't directly comparing it to the arcade, that would be a different story.
Yeah. Well, that's what we are doing here.
Hmm.
You also, I assume, I imagine you did not get to the additional section somewhere in level 3 where there's a cave with a bunch of stalactites that fall from the ceiling
No, I didn't.
and crazy shit, and like there's also some light platforming that you have to deal with.
Uh-oh. I
You would
did get
have
to
hated
level
it.
3, and at that point I was just like, yeah, this seems like it's just the same game, but, less so.
Level 3 is tough. That's when you really got to deal with these purple guys, and they should give you like 2 of them at a time, and I thought, "Oh man,
Mhm.
they're like hard to." And then right after that, you get to the bridge, and there's this guy on the other side of the bridge who throws a knife at you like the second you land, and you got to really move to avoid him or you fall back in the water. That was a real,
Mhm.
there's
Yeah, I
like
mean,
walls.
this is the other thing that kinda goes to the earlier point here is that, like, there's something as long as I don't actually have to pay quarters, right? Um, like, if I'm not that interested in the system, like, the gaming system and beating these guys, I'm just like, "Alright, let's just see what's coming up next. Let's see what this environment is like." Um, Not being that good and having to play all the way over from level 1 every 3rd time I die is like, "Eh, fuck this, I'm bored immediately." Whereas if I get stuck in the arcade, it's like, you just keep putting in quarters and I'll get to see the next interesting part eventually. I don't, like I'll get there a lot faster than I would if I had to replay it every time until I'm good enough to get there. And if being good enough to get there doesn't, f- interest me in and of itself, then all right, that's.
Yeah, but it does. I mean, obviously not the case with this particular game, but you
It
have
could.
to admit that it's a cheaper feeling to just punch through with quarters as opposed to
Mhm.
actually earning the next thing.
Right. Yes. It doesn't feel like you're earning it. It doesn't feel like you're doing anything. You're just experiencing this game. You're not really playing it. And that's what it comes down to is that like, yeah, it's kind of fun to experience it, especially when there's another person there. That really I do think it is so weird to me to think that like at the end of the day, it feels like your argument here is that Double Dragon is better when it's not double, which is so weird to me. Is it feels to me like so much of what this is like your buddies there, you know?
I think that's true for the arcade game.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when you take that out, you just don't have anything
No, well, that's where I disagree. I think they added things in that are better.
better than
And
having
also,
your buddy there. Maybe you just don't like
yes,
buddies.
No, I don't. I fucking hate you. Isn't that
You'd
obvious?
rather sit at home and play a video game than go out and socialize.
I mean, like, is that supposed to be not obvious? Have I ever said anything to the contrary in my fucking life?
I'm just pointing it out. That's all.
Yeah. What are you gonna say next? Do you like to eat fast food? You're a guy who goes on the internet. Like I don't.
Yeah. I'm just pointing things out. I'm just making an observation.
To hurt me?
No, I'm observing. I'm assessing. This is my analysis.
You're a regular Jerry Seinfeld with your observations, and in many other areas
in
of your
a
life,
lot
I
of
might
ways, I'm
say.
a Jerry Seinfeld type.
Politics, relationships,
Other stuff too. Yeah.
I just don't think that I completely understand your position. Just to me, the flashiness of the arcade game is fun for exactly one time, and it's just no good to me after that. It's a piece of gum, and I chewed up all the flavor, and now I am left with flavorless gum in my mouth. I mean, that's what it is. And I just don't care for that.
Would you? And you would feel that way about playing it again with another person? Because, like I said, I have no desire to play more of this on my own. But if there was another person here who was like, play Double Dragon, I'd be like, sure, why not? Because there's somebody else.
Yes, under certain circumstances, for instance, if we were at a real arcade and there was a Double Dragon machine, definitely I would say, let's give it a go. I don't think I would. Maybe if I had this, if there's a port of this like on the Switch or something, and somebody was on the couch with me, and I was like, "Oh, some Double Dragon," but like that would be it. Like I wouldn't want to really play it with the same person multiple times. Like there's so many beat 'em up games that came out after this that are better and do have more depth and are more interesting. In the era we live in now, these graphics are not even flashy or exciting anymore compared to modern gaming. So, like, what are you getting out of it? If you want to hang out with a buddy, there's 1,000 better games for hanging out with a buddy.
But I am not amenable to any argument that starts with, but there are better video games that I've played, because I sure haven't. I don't know them.
Well, that's your fucking problem.
I just have to say, like, in a vacuum, if this were the only co-op beat 'em up, would you still want to play it with people sometimes? And my answer is sure, why not?
Co-op beat 'em up.
It's the only one I've.
Sure.
It's the only one. It's the only one I have.
Yeah,
I can't compare it to anything else. What am I comparing it to?
These are probably the best graphics you have ever seen in your life.
It's not about the quality of the graphics. It's about the feel, you know?
Yes, it's the aesthetic. It's the vibe.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, the style. Listen, it's fun. It's good. It's good for what it is. It was great for the time. It created a lot of these things that became staples of the genre. That's great. But in the modern era, I got no use for it.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. We are not disagreeing on not really playing this more.
Well, we need to give this game our IGN ratings.
Yes.
Now here's the tricky part, because in the past, when we have done multiple versions of games, we just gave them one blanket score because there was mostly a lot of overlap, or I would argue, like in the case of SimCity, I just didn't feel strongly enough to split up my score because I didn't really care that much.
Yeah, well, you're probably going to have to split up your score.
These two games are very different. Should we give two scores?
I'm just going to give one score, and it's probably going to mostly be for the arcade. My scoring is going to be based on if somebody said, what's your score for Double Dragon? My answer is this. And that feels fine for me. Whereas I feel like for you, if somebody said, what's your score for Double Dragon? You'd say, depends, you know?
I feel like they are fundamentally different games that I need to score them separately.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess, yeah, I just don't care about the NES one that much.
Now all of a sudden you love the fucking arcades. We did it.
Well, we'll see how that holds up after my
Arcade
IGN
Defender.
rating. We'll see how that holds up after my IGN rating here.
You're the worst. Go ahead. You have the floor.
Okay. Okay, so I will say this. I'm really only defending this game next to the NES version, which I didn't care that much about. I could not bring myself to care that much about it. If it had been the only thing to focus on, I would have focused on it more. But here I was just like, why? This is not Double Dragon. This is not what I think of when I think of this, and it's not interesting on its own. Um, so for the arcade Double Dragon, all right. Let's see. As I said, it does have its moments. It is fun. I don't enjoy. We're going to continue our trend of arcade gameplay is not fun, right? The actual gameplay of the arcade, not fun, not enjoyable. Similar to Pac-Man. Um, Now Pac-Man got a 4.9 because, or not a 4 point, that's SimCity. Pac-Man got a 4.5. I'm looking at this because I liked the cutesy ghosts and stuff in it. Now, as much as I love the flashy 80s aesthetic and as much fun as I had with that, I don't know if I actually like these guys as much as I like the ghosts and Pac-Man, right? Like they're not as much fun. Um as those in a vacuum. On the other hand, the experience of playing this with a person is nice. Whereas I just can't actually enjoy myself playing Pac-Man. I think final score I will give Double Dragon, let's say a 4.7.
Now I gotta follow up with you on one point here.
Yeah.
Because you're saying, oh, arcade gameplay is bad, it's just like Pac-Man. In my mind, this bears virtually no resemblance to Pac-Man or Space Invaders that we've played so far. So what, in your mind, what is it that defines this arcade gameplay that you don't like?
Yeah, so that was not a definitional arcade gameplay is bad. That was an observational. That was once again I
Jerry
played an
Seinfeld
arcade.
again.
Once again I played an arcade game and I didn't really enjoy the gameplay. Right? Like you are right. They're completely different. And yet somehow I didn't like it. I don't know what it is.
Right. Well, I think it's that it's everything I said about why I
Sure.
don't like it.
Yeah.
And what you said.
So there you go. But, maybe there is no connection to the arcade. Maybe we've just randomly happened to only hit arcade games I don't like playing. I don't know.
Sure. There are thousands of them.
Right. You never know.
We're doing whack-a-mole next week.
Hell yeah.
And your fucking head is the mole. I'm not going to spend too much time. I think we spent a lot of time with me talking about my feelings on these games. I don't feel that I really need to sum it up too thoroughly. The arcade game, Double Dragon, I'm going to give it a straight 5. I think for the time, for what it did for the genre, and for the experience you can still have with a buddy, it's worth looking at, but it is literally 30 minutes of fun. That is 5 points for 30 minutes. And by the way, I looked for my time of playing it solo was almost exactly the same as our time playing it together. So
that's about right.
I don't know what that says about what the game does, but it's not like it takes longer by yourself or something. I really do feel that there are 30 good minutes here if you have a friend, and that's the end of it. And that's what it is. It's fine, but there's no reason to go back to it after a single time.
More fun than I had with Pac-Man, 30 minutes, but
that's your problem. That's your fucking problem, my man.
But a 5, so you liked it better than me.
Our scales are not the same. Double Dragon on the NES, I think, is very solid. I'm gonna give it 7.2.
Damn.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good. I think it's a good game. We didn't talk about the 2-player fighting mode in that version either.
Mm.
I don't think we need to.
Yeah, I if we had played other fighting games, or if I were big into fighting games, I might have been interested in like, I want to see this and see how this compares to a fighting game. But we haven't done that, and I don't know anything, so I wouldn't have anything to say anyway. It's probably worse, but maybe there's something interesting about what is and isn't there. No
I
clue.
don't think there is. I don't think there's anything interesting about it. You can't even play as different characters. You only can play
Yeah.
mirror matches.
Wait, really? I could have
Yes.
sworn you selected your characters individually. Oh, wow.
No,
That
don't you
sucks.
remember when we did it? We were both a
You just had
Bobo.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's right, because you didn't yeah. Yeah,
one
that does
person
suck a
picks, and you're
lot.
both the same character. Yeah, it's
Because, like,
bad.
fundamentally, it must have enough in common with fighting games that it's at least sort of interesting, but, like, yeah, Jesus, if you can't even be different characters, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
And
good.
this is the one you're defending.
Yeah, well, that mode is like whatever. It's just you don't have to play that. It's tacked on.
Mhm.
I like the main mode. I think it's cool. I think it's worth playing. And you know what? Maybe I'll still go back to it and maybe I'll finish it off. Cuz I had a good time. I was
Go
enjoying
for it.
myself getting better at it. It was fun. I like my kick move. I like my jump kick. I like earning combos. Double Dragon, of course, was a huge hit back in
Mhm.
the day. And now we're going to head over to Classic Review Corner and see what critics from the time had to say about it. For instance, here's one from a magazine. Okay.
A magazine?
Yeah. What? Why?
Okay.
You want me to say what magazine it
I
was?
mean, if it's not important, then I guess not.
Oh, this is from Commodore User. Does that help you?
No. Is that they named a magazine Commodore User? It's like, so
Yeah.
if you use the Commodore, then that
It's
sucks.
basically the same thing as a PC gamer, right? It's just a different.
Yeah, except gamer is a much more interesting word than user.
Well,
Like,
back in the
imagine if it
day,
was
you were
called
users.
PC
Remember Tron?
PC User, the magazine. Jesus Christ, who's reading that?
Here's a review which I think is for this is for the arcade version. And they say, I believe this is British because they say, you and your mate start out armed with your hands, feet, and heads. But if you manage to knock a weapon bearing nasty over, they naturally enough drop whatever lethal thingy they happen to be carrying, and you can pick it up and use it.
You were correct when you said lethal. They don't
I
pronounce their
know.
THs over there. I know
I
you.
know. I
You're
fucked up.
too sophisticated and American. You had to change it back.
They said tactics are essential in Double Dragon. Different baddies are best attacked in different ways, and feverish stabbing at all buttons simultaneously isn't a very effective means of combat. This isn't an easy game to play initially. You have to use both brain and brawn in order to dispatch the various thugs you encounter without getting beaten to death yourself. And it's also not going to be an easy game to play for another reason. It took me about half an hour to get near it in my local arcade. So how about that? You had to wait 30 minutes to be able to even play this game.
For once, I don't actually think that hurts the game, because like for something like Space Invaders, I would be all like, okay, so then not only did I have to play it, but I had to wait fucking 30 minutes. But in this, waiting next to the other guy you're gonna play with is part of the experience, right?
Yeah.
Watching the guys in front of you play is part of the experience.
Yeah.
Playing it's the least important part of what you get out of it.
That's right. You're right. Here's one from is this from Crash? I don't know, I'm not going to read this one. What's important is another thing to note about both of the reviews I'm looking at here. They both reference the game Renegade, which was the creator of Double Dragon's previous game that he worked on. That's what it was called in America, which was more of a progenitor, you might say, of the beat 'em up genre, but was missing a lot of the staples, didn't have multiplayer or stuff like that, so it did not become a hit the way that Double Dragon did. They also note in this review, the sprites are much bigger than the ones in Renegade, which adds to the realism. The sound is pretty good too, with lots of grunting and oofing going on, and gruesome sound effects for the chain whipping through the air. Great stuff, and really good value, even for 30p a throw. It's another British one.
Jesus. The fuck are they doing over there?
Yeah.
It said something in there I wanted to comment on, but now I'm just struck by the Britishness of it all and I'm getting pissed off.
Yeah, that's fair. There's also I don't know, there's at least one NES review that's positive as well. Both versions were pretty well liked. Unsurprisingly, since it's a pretty big hit, although not really around much anymore, unlike some of the other games we've covered. You look at a Mario, etc., even a Pac-Man. There's all kinds of modern versions of them. Obviously, Street Fighter.
Yeah.
We haven't covered that yet, so that's why I wasn't.
Oh, I see. I just felt to me like more in line with because like a modern Mario game might not play like the original Mario, but it's got fucking Mario, right? And so I was just like, yeah, I mean, a modern Street Fighter game, it's gonna have the Street Fighter karate guys. So what's a modern Double Dragon look like? It's got to have the Lee brothers. Fuck their names were Billy Lee and Jimmy Lee. It would have them.
Yeah.
Have a Bobo.
Okay.
Have Linda.
Okay. You're done. Anyway, there's Double Dragon 2 and 3. I think people like Double Dragon 2. I don't really know. And all of these had home versions as well. There's Game Boy versions, what have you. There's Battletoads and Double Dragon crossover. The company that made these games went bankrupt, and then for a long time there were just shitty knockoffs and stuff, and that nobody liked. Somebody bought the rights to it somewhat recently, and they did make a new Double Dragon that is more in the NES style. It's supposed to be like a retro throwback, but I don't think anybody liked it or cared about it. You also know this game is big because there was a movie, and also there was a cartoon.
Damn.
26 half-hour episodes from 93 to 94.
I want to watch the cartoon.
Based on, as Wikipedia says, the NES versions of the Double Dragon game trilogy.
Yo, I want to watch that.
See, the NES version is where the lore comes from.
I was going to say, when they say based on the NES, do they mean like there's some paragraphs in the manual they could actually write something with as opposed to the arcade, which is just...
Yeah. I mean, truly... I don't think this game has as much. That's not true. It still has longevity, but I do think a lot of if there's any modern day fandom, it comes from you want to know. I feel like part of it is that's Billy and Jimmy Lee. Those feel like characters you can kind of sink your teeth into a little bit, as opposed to just like, I don't know, I'm a dude. That's something that I'm sure, and I think by the time you get to Double Dragon 2 and 3, that becomes more a part of the actual game as well. But maybe
I was going to say, I don't know that Billy and Jimmy Lee are more fleshed out in the NES manual than they are in the arcade. Like, they sort of are.
I mean, they're named.
Yeah, they're named. Is that
they exist.
That's sort of fleshed out, I guess. In a sense.
Yeah, they're guys.
Yeah, but I feel like any movie writer could have done that, or cartoon writer could have done that to the arcade.
But I think in the same sense that people like, Duke Nukem and, that kind of guy, it's like somebody you can root for.
Yeah, but all that stuff's in the arcade too. They've got muscles and they hit people.
They need names.
Yeah.
These are short kings, by the way. They're both 5'10".
Wow.
according to the NES manual. They give heights and weights for every character.
King of the manlets. One of my favorite things in this cast of characters, they give you little descriptions of what the characters are like. And multiple of these characters will say, like, they have a nasty right and left punch. Or watch out for her right or left punch. As though, like, what do you mean, like, watch out for their punch? That, oh no, they're good with both their right and left hands. Does that, what is, I guess that means, maybe if you're a boxer, that means something. In the game, they just punch you. Like, what is this?
They had to write something.
Yes. I mean, I also do love Abobo here. Likes to throw bombs and slap people around. That's his character.
Yeah, we should mention that Willie is the gun-toting boss.
Right. Armed with a machine gun and not afraid to use it. Oh, he's 6 foot. Oh,
Yep.
shit.
Yeah.
No wonder.
And you'll like this. There's a fan-made game that came out in 2012 that is free to play. You can download this online, called Abobo's Big Adventure.
Oh, why don't we should play that.
You play as Abobo traveling through different game worlds. It looks like I see a Goomba on the cover art here.
Oh, man.
To save your son.
Holy shit. This sounds like a much better game. Abobo was by far the best part of Double Dragon. Like, let's be real. It's not even close.
And again, I'm going to say this too. I think the Abobo sprite on the NES is way better than on the arcade.
Interesting.
I like this Abobo guy. I think he's funnier. He's got like a bigger head. He looks almost like a chibi dude.
I mean, I do really like the NES sprite for him. He does work in that goofy, silly way. The way that, like, Karate Guy just doesn't have that silliness to him. But I do like how fucked up his face is on the arcade, and I also like Hulk Abobo, the one who's just green for no reason.
that was pretty good, yeah. I liked when there's a Hulk. By the way, there was also a part in the NES game in the third level where you fight 2 Abobos at once, which I found quite difficult. And after you beat it, they break out of a rock wall and they open like a hole, like a cave you can go into, which is the next section. I didn't know that. I kept walking to the right. I didn't know you could go in there. And if you keep going to the right, it literally just loops you to the beginning of the level and you can't go back. And you just like have to play the level again if you want to get back.
Oh, I would never have figured that out. Because the Bobos pop out of the wall in the arcade too, but you don't go in the hole. I would have been like, yeah, that's the part where they pop in the. I would have been like, what the fuck? Does it loop forever?
Yeah.
I might have figured it out. I might have figured it out if there weren't Abobos popping out of the wall in the arcade, right? Because then I would have been like, why'd they do that? It must be signaling me to go in there, as opposed to like, well, they did it because of the arcade.
This is the type of thing that separates the pro gamers from the noobs. That gamer instinct that you haven't fine-tuned. Episode's going kind of long, but should we read emails?
Yeah.
Guess what? This is a pretty fortuitous week for our famous MMO segment, Massive Mail Opening.
Oh yeah, I remember it was called that.
Because we're covering Double Dragon, and this week we've got Double Steven.
What the fuck?
Now hold on.
I was really excited.
Now hold on. There's 2 emails this week from 2 different Stevens.
Oh shit, is there a new Steven? A good Steven? That would be really exciting to me.
Our first email this week comes from Steve P.
Okay.
Steve P is listening to our backlog and writes, "This was supposed to be a YouTube comment, but it got way too long. Then I found out you read emails on the show. Hopefully you will read emails about older episodes."
We will.
Guess what? As long as we got nothing else to do, we do. Here we go, which I assume he meant, here we go.
He did.
So now you got to think back to our Pac-Man episode, okay? Or you know we're talking about the arcades?
Yeah.
Slide over to the Pac-Man machine. Okay, Steve writes, Regarding the character/nickname thing, I think it's just sloppy English. So to refresh everyone's memory, we had an argument about whether the ghosts' names or nicknames were Blinky or Shadow or whatever the fuck.
Right.
They had a name and a
Yeah.
nickname.
Yes, and for whatever reason, the like arcade machine said the opposite of what everybody now of as true,
Right.
and is
So
obviously true.
Steve thinks character must be a clumsy way of saying these are their personalities or behaviors or traits. The Japanese version of this screen is in Japanese. The translation choices for the English version have little or nothing to do with the Japanese text. The red ghost will shadow or follow you in English, which most closely matches the Japanese name, usually translated as something like chaser. No comment. But the others, why is Pinky's English character Speedy despite not moving faster than the ghosts? And how did that come from the Japanese ambush? Nickname would, I guess, be just their actual name, not an alternative to a formal name. Fun fact, the Japanese red, blue, and pink ghost nicknames didn't rhyme like ours. Instead, the names referenced their colors. The orange ghost is the only exception, just like the English nicknames. Seems like they weren't going for a literal translation, or they didn't know what they were doing. Translating must have been much harder in the days before Google Translate. And as for being a man, as in Pac-Man, maybe it just sounds like a generic non-gendered descriptor in Japanese. Maybe there are Japanese man characters over the years that were not strictly men. Thank you for reading. Will Smells. Bring back the Oreo review show.
Oh, shit.
Let's stop on to the... I don't know. This was good info, good intel on these ghosts. I don't know that I have anything to add to it, but I'm glad we have it. Yeah?
Don't know. I enjoy taking strays over here, but yeah, no, that is good info to have on these ghosts. I think that is pretty fun. That I mean, I think it's good translation work that they gave them catchy English names. It's maybe not such good translation work to do the character nickname thing. That does sound like them just rolling some shit out. But yeah, 100%. If what makes a catchy name in Japanese is not the same as in English. Like you couldn't have rhyming names in Japanese that wouldn't work the same way it works in English. It would work different. So that part is good.
Yeah, Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde. You can't top that.
Yeah, this is just good.
He didn't say you smell bad. He just said Will smells. Could mean anything.
Could mean anything.
Yeah.
I agree. Bring back the Oreo review show, especially now that they've got these Oreo Reese's. I know there's a Reese's and not Oreos, but...
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I did have the Reese's, the Oreo infused Reese's peanut butter cups. And I don't know, half a cookie, no cream.
Excellent.
Yeah,
the return everyone was waiting for.
Yeah, I used to have an Oreo review show. So that's what that's about. So bless you, Steve, for being a fan and following over to this show, which, let's face it, it's better. Come on. We're doing better now.
Maybe.
All right, so that's from Steve P. Next, we do have an email from the original Steven.
Also Stephen P., by the way, a little behind the scenes for you.
Is that true?
It is true.
Because you and I also know another Stephen P. What the fuck's going on? Well, Steve P spells his name with a V-E, and Stephen is a P-H.
Right.
So there's all kinds of differences.
That's how we know they're not the same.
Maybe the P stands for Pac-Man.
I think you're right.
Anyway, now Steven, now a new email from a different person, Steven. Steven says, "Hey, bad boys. After listening to your episode," this is the Metroid episode we did last week, "I'm glad I stopped and watched the bonus gameplay video that is available right now. I thought Will's complaints were exaggerated and that they were just the effect of him being terrible. But after playing the game, I quickly saw that he had a lot of valid complaints. Starting at 30 energy is ridiculous. The amount of time it takes to refill your energy is absurd, and the second you're confronted by more than one basic enemy, it can be easy to panic and take a ton of damage. That said, after actually witnessing his gameplay, I am not going to say that I was anywhere near that bad. I also decided to give the remake, Metroid Zero Mission, a shot, and wow. You can shoot in any direction and shoot while crouched, allowing you to hit the game's abundance of floor-level enemies. You start at full energy, and there are Chozo statues that give you a full recharge all over. There are save points and a map. The game puts an ability check in place that forces you to get the long beam before getting very far in the game. The shafts are still there, though. Also, the Justin Bailey code doesn't mean anything. Because of how Metroid's password system works, there are a ton of real words you can enter that the game will consider to be a valid password, and there are even password generators online that you can use to find some of these. Justin Bailey just happens to be one of the most useful and easy to remember. Keep up the good work, Steven.
Well, I think we had an Englishman on the show to disagree with that last point. Like, we've got the real scoop over here. But
True. That's true. Yeah.
maybe
It
it was
would
an
be
Australian.
interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe at some point, maybe we'll make you play Zero Mission, but
At some point, I'll play a lot of things.
yeah, we don't need to do that really. But I mean, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's better. It's way better. There's no question.
I do like the journey of going from Will's overreacting to Will's correct to no, wait, actually, hold on.
He's really zigging and zagging there. You don't know where
Yeah.
Steven's gonna land. He wants you to really be working to earn his respect.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that he referenced this video, which we did after last week's episode, where I coached you through further sections of the Metroid game, which is now available for everyone to watch on our sister YouTube channel, Worse with Games. But if you are a patron, you got to watch it much earlier. Pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
On that note, Steven also writes, P.S. I signed up for your Patreon. Looking forward to seeing what kinds of things you'll be looking at over there. I have a recommendation for a book.
Oh, no. I remember how this goes.
This book is called Pilgrim in the Microworld, where a middle-aged college professor discovers the Atari game Breakout and documents his newfound obsession with it. It's fun to see early gaming from the perspective of someone who not only knows nothing about video games, but also can't even rely on cultural context, because video games are only a few years old at this point. Does that mean this is a non-fiction book?
Sounds like it, but
Yeah, the title sounds like a sci-fi adventure.
it's because it was written by a nerd.
Yeah, that really is what that is. Well, we will add that to the list. We, of course, would love to have people's Patreon suggestions or anything else. If you have a thought about a video game we were discussing this week, or even an old one, or just a general question about video games, you can email us at badwithgamespodcast@gmail.com. Let us know whether or not you like getting things in video games. I think there's going to be a lot of people on both sides of that issue. It's really it's polarizing.
I think a lot of people will. They'll say getting things isn't interesting, using them is interesting. That's what they'll say.
Right.
They'll be like, I get what Will was saying. John is just obtuse. He didn't understand.
Yeah, I prefer
He's
to use things. I don't want to get them. Even though usually to use them, you do have to get them. That's kind of a prerequisite.
See, now you're being purposely obtuse.
I just think purposefully is a better word than purposely.
Sure. I don't know that it is.
I think
that
it's
one
better.
I disagree with.
Well, I think now you're being purposefully disagreeable.
That is my favorite way to be disagreeable.
We'd love to hear from you. And of course, don't forget our Patreon, patreon.com/badwithgames. You can sign up for free. You'll get all the updates for our Bad with Games podcast, as well as our at Worse with Games channel with bonus videos like our Double Dragon video this week. Or you can pay us. You'll get some of those videos early. You'll get the chat in our Discord, and you'll get to hear our bonus podcast, including this week's, in which we're going to be discussing the Double Dragon movie. So if you're a patron, the Double Dragon fun is not at an end.
Oh no, we've got a lot more Double Dragon for you.
Now, I'll be honest, I did not realize there was a cartoon, and I did not. That's not anywhere in our schedule right now, so I don't know. We'll have to play another Double Dragon game so we can watch the cartoon.
Maybe we'll just do the Double Dragon cartoon next week.
We could.
We could. I'm kind of hyped for it.
I'm gonna we'll put that out to listeners. In addition, and also I genuinely want to ask, like, if people have familiarity with this series, is it worth us playing Double Dragon 2 or another entry in the series, or not, in terms of what they add or what would be new for us to discuss? Because I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we're done here, yeah?
Yeah. Good ep. I think.
Pretty good ep. Now, next week might be even better.
Ooh, what's next week?
Next week, we're going to be playing a much requested game.
Oh, really?
At least 2 people requested it.
Oh, wow.
Wizardry, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overworld.
Wait, is that really what it's called?
Sorry, Overlord. I misspoke.
Okay, I was going to say, did I miss something?
I misspoke. Okay. Overlord.
Overworld's kind of a cool name. The Mad Overworld.
Wizardry, very early role-playing game for the PC, or some form of the PC. I don't know what the fuck they were calling them in 1981 when it came out. Maybe it was for Commodore users. At any rate, that's what we're going to be playing, and I don't know, that should be interesting, because I don't know much about it, and we've talked about RPGs a lot in the Final Fantasy episode. This is going to be an even more old-school one than that. It's going to be a new experience.
We're going to have fun.
We're going to have fun.
Do you want to go gamers out? Or do you want
Gamers out!